Hi again. This is a follow-on really from the video I just posted about Toshi straps. Really it's the do's and don'ts when it comes to strap fitting. Now I've made mistakes along the way. I'm the first one to admit that. Now some of the things you've got to know is spring bars. Now I'll take a picture of these in case they don't show up on camera too well. But you've got a number of different types of spring bar. One has a shoulder on it. Some don't have a shoulder. Now it's really important that you know which ones you're fitting, because if you have, say, this watch here. Now this has got concealed lugs. This has got concealed lugs. Now what I mean by that is this Zin has got drilled lugs for the lug pin. Now this enables you to change the strap, but to remove the spring bar by just pressing in here. Much easier. Older Rolexes have it this way and then they changed. So whenever you're fitting into a watch which doesn't have open lug holes, make sure you fit a spring bar with the shoulders on there. And what that enables you to do is, with a proper spring bar tool. Now this is really, anyone who's into watches should get yourself one of these. This is a Bourjoin spring bar tool remover. One side has this fork affair and the other side has a pin. This one's bent but it still does the job. And what you can do is remove them. So when you buy this tool, it's not expensive, you get a couple of different heads. So you can get that. These are the cheaper ones which come with different straps and so forth. And you can tell it's cheaper because this just fell out, when I ordered a strap once it came with that and it just fell out. I think it was this camo one I just got. So invest in a proper decent spring bar tool remover and a screwdriver. The reason I say a screwdriver is Panerais have a screwdriver. Incredibly easy to do, but just be careful and don't slip as you're screwing it in, because you can mark the lugs. When it actually comes to marking the lugs, which obviously we don't want to, when you're fitting a actual strap onto a watch, just for now I'm going to use this. I normally place one end in first, so there, and then I go from underneath. And all I do is then I press that down and go from underneath. And that's it. That is how incredibly simple it is. What the things you can do wrong is you place it on top like that. And what that can do is mark the top of the lug. And the last thing you want to do is that. If you are to mark the watch in any way, I would rather mark the back of the watch where it's not seen versus the front, obviously. So things to remember are things like that. Some other watches, this Spinnaker bronze, actually comes with quick release ones. So I think you can see that. All I have to do is pull this across, he says, and it comes off. So that's a normal spring bar, just with this little affair on here which allows you to pull it back. So again, I put it from the back of the watch, pull it in, and then wiggle it around, and bingo, you can hear it going. So that's that. They're actually quite easy, but you don't see them on so many high-end straps. Another thing to notice here is with Panerai straps, you tend to have this tube which goes in there. You can buy the tubes, and that's one there. It just fills it out. This is an original Panerai rubber strap, and you can see it's got the tube in there. Now, stupidly, I had a tube in one of these, and a friend wanted to see the strap on his watch, but it wasn't a Panerai, and it had a spring bar in there. And I stupidly left the tube in the watch, let's see, get a thinner one, and put it in, and then fitted it into his watch. Now, as soon as I fitted it, it dawned on me what a stupid thing I'd done, because that, when I put it in, didn't allow me to get to the shoulders on the spring bar to release it, and it had to be ground out. Embarrassing, yes it was, and felt sorry for my friend, but his watch was all perfectly okay, so fortunately there was no problems. So whenever you're fitting a watch strap, I would always place it in from the bottom. So if you are to mark it, you mark the underside. If you do it properly, you won't mark the watch anyway. So you need a good quality tool. Oh, one other thing to remember actually while I'm here, Seiko tuner. This, being one of the older models, is quite nice. Filled in one side, open the other. So again, if you want to remove it, press it in, bingo, that's it, removed. Now, when you're fitting a strap onto this watch, you can have a problem because the lugs are quite close to the body of the watch. So sometimes you find a thick leather strap won't always hit the lugs and clear the body of the watch. You can actually get, which helps, bent spring bars, which enable it to give you a little bit more of a gap from the case of a watch, and you can do that yourself. It's easy. You can bend, because when you think all it is in a spring bar is there's a spring. When you open one of these up, there's just a spring going along here, and that's what forces that out. So if you bend it lightly, it won't matter. But it is always worth noting, can you actually fit the strap you want to fit onto that watch? Like here, this one hasn't got much clearance. So some levers, this strap, I believe, will just about fit in here. But you've got to remember, you know, will the spring bars get to the holes up? So, but it is very important when you're fitting a watch strap not to mix up the two different types of spring bar, because as you can see on that, there is no shoulder. So you only fit this in one with a hole, because there's nothing for the tool to be able to grip and pull back. So really, really important, you know that. And you know, I'm just passing it on because I've made mistakes over the years. So it really is worth knowing the do's and don'ts. But these newer type, what you've got to remember, you can't just buy these and fit them on, say, one of these Toshi straps, because there's no hole for it. And I don't really want to start cutting into the leather. It's one of these, I think they've got to be fitted and then the watch strap is made around it. So it'd be very hard to aftermarket fit one of these. Another thing to know, if you do buy a brand new leather strap, sometimes you can't get the hole properly. It's really quite hard. So that's when a screwdriver and place it through just to kind of clear the hole. And you do find that, especially like there, that is brand new, never had a spring bar fitted to it. So the hole's almost gone, and now you've got to, that's it, place it through and just clear it. And now the hole is there, it's visible. But it is really important, don't use tubes, don't use a tube on a watch which hasn't got a screwed in type like these, because otherwise you won't be able to get the spring bar out. Know what kind of spring bar you are fitting to the watch, and just make sure that you can actually get to some I say the body of the watch is so close to the actual spring bar holes, the lug holes, that you can't always fit every aftermarket strap on it, especially some of the chunky leather ones, because there's sometimes, okay, the Toshi ones are very good, but I've had other straps where it's so thick that you can't actually press it in far enough that you can get to the holes. So Or the main thing to remember, correct spring bars for the actual watch. Don't use tubes. And get yourself a good spring bar tool. And I say, never place the, if I show you on this one, if I put that in, that's one thing to be aware of as well, thinking about it. The Seikos quite often use these fatter spring bars. I much prefer them, I think they're really nice. But you see here, I don't put it in that way. I don't put it in so the spring bar's on the top of the lug, because that's where it can mark it. So you put it in on that side, on the bottom, and you can see it there. And then all I'm going to do, press the shank in, and then all I'm doing, I think you can see it, click, and it's there. Always as well, when you do fit a spring bar, test it just a little bit before you put it on your strap, on your wrist, because if it's loose, and I've had them again when they have been loose, years of learning, and you put it on your wrist, poof, and it falls off. Only happened to me once because that's all you need, but fortunately I was in the house and it fell onto the sofa, or I think it was. So just give it a little tug and make sure it is actually there. Okay, they're my little do's and don'ts when it comes to changing straps or bracelets on watches. Okay, hope that helps you. Bye.